He wakes before the sun, the kitchen light a soft halo over a stack of unpaid bills. The same question sits on his tongue like a pebble: when will my financial life change? He makes coffee with hands that remember austerity like a second skin: smaller portions, fewer outings, the careful closing of tabs on a budget spreadsheet that never quite balances. He is not reckless, he is honest, dependable, the kind of person neighbors ask to help move a couch. Yet every evening the ledger returns him to the same place: effort without shift, sacrifice without reward. You see him in the small details. The way he pauses in the doorway before entering his home, counting silently the cost of the light he leaves on. The stubborn pride in his posture when relatives offer help and he declines. The quiet sorrow when he scrolls past friends posting vacations, businesses launched, bank account updates, as if the world repels the success he chases. His partner tries to be hopeful. "Maybe next month," she says, pressing a warm hand to his arm. He nods, but the answer lives in a deeper room, one he hasn't dared open. Let me be candid, this is not a story about laziness or lack of intelligence. This is the story of an inner operating system, running the same scarcity program for years. Imagine your mind as software: every thought, every fear an instruction line that produces predictable output. If the code says there's never enough, your choice is hardened to prove it true. Save more, cut more, avoid risk, and the world responds by narrowing your options. That loop is stealthy, convincing, and terribly effective. I've seen this pattern 1,000 times: good people trapped in a script that keeps them safe but never prosperous. Today we begin to trace that script, to find the exact lines of code that must be rewritten. If what you hear resonates, give this video a gentle like and stay with me, subscribe so you don't miss the practical exercises ahead. In the next moments I'll take you into a single, precise exercise that will reveal your scarcity script and free you to choose differently. He wakes before dawn, the kitchen lamp still warm on the counter, and the same small ritual unfolds: coffee, the bank app, the muted clink of envelopes on the table. The numbers don't shout, they whisper, a tidy litany of limits. In the living room the light cuts across a stack of bills like a ruler. He says aloud, almost to test it, "When will this change?" The house answers in silence, and for a moment the question feels like a confession. A knock at the door. Outside, the guide stands calm as a lighthouse, aged kindness in the eyes. "Show me your morning program," she says, smiling not with judgment but with the clarity of someone who has debugged their own software. He laughs, nervously, and spreads the papers. She reads the recurring phrases as if reading code: "I can't, I don't deserve, there's never enough." Each line is an instruction, not a fate. Your mind is running a script, she explains. Until you rewrite it, it keeps producing the same output. They walk through the neighborhood, dawn stretching along the pavement, and she points out small choices that echo the old script. He declines a neighbor's suggestion for a side project, citing time. He scrolls past an opportunity because the fee seems risky. Each no is not prudence but a loop. The camera lingers on his hands, the tremor of a man used to making safety the default. Back at the kitchen table she asks him to speak one of his limiting lines aloud. He does, embarrassed, and it hangs between them like steam. Then she hands him a pen. "Write the opposite," she says simply. He falters, then writes, "I am capable of creating money. I take aligned actions." The words look foreign on the page and already, strangely, they feel lighter. She guides him through a brief practice: close your eyes, breathe 3 times, imagine 5 small wins today, an extra call that becomes a client, a paid invoice, a clear bank balance. Not fantasy grandeur, she corrects gently, but tangible outcomes that change behavior. This trains your decision-making, she says. When your inner screen shows resource, you choose differently. A car passes and the moment settles. He opens his eyes with something like permission. "What's the one inner sentence you'll replace this week?" she asks. The question is soft but precise, an invitation and a test. If he answers, the journey moves forward; if not, the loop continues. In the next moment she leans in to teach the first targeted visualization that can produce immediate, practical shifts, and the camera pulls close as he prepares to try. He wakes to the same pale light slipping through blinds, the familiar weight of unopened bills on the kitchen counter, the mug already cooling beside a phone that never seems to bring the news he wants. The guide stands beside him not as a fairy but as a technician of the mind, calm, practical, watching with the patience of someone who has seen software crash and learned to debug it. Your inner program, the guide says, is running the same old script. Scarcity isn't reality, it's a loop you've been rehearsing. The hero hears it like a knock on an attic door he never opened. They move through the morning like actors testing new lines. The guide leads a brief exercise. Close your eyes, he instructs, and feel the number in your bank app as if it's already true. Notice the warmth in your chest, the weight of a paid bill, the small celebratory breath. He asks the hero to name one belief aloud: I must struggle to deserve money. The sound of that sentence in the kitchen is small and heavy. Then the guide offers the replacement, a precise, testable phrase: I make wise choices that invite money now. It's not a slogan, it's code. Repeat it while straightening your shoulders, while imagining signing a contract that feels right, while tasting the coffee again as if it were richer. The body learns together with the mind. We watch him practice a 5-minute visualization where he sees the exact steps money takes to reach him: a client clicking pay, a bank transfer tone, the texture of an envelope with a check, and then a short journal ritual that rewrites his story in the present tense. He swaps passive complaints for decisions. Instead of I can't, he writes 2 tiny, immediate actions he will take today. The first decision is small, accepting a conversation he would have declined before, but it changes the arc of the afternoon. An email he would have ignored gets answered. A neighbor mentions a side project. The hero feels a shift, not mystical but mechanical. When the program changes, the outputs change. If this scene touches you, tap like quietly and tell us in the comments, what is your biggest financial pain today? Stay with us. Next, we'll build the exact daily ritual and the 7-line financial narrative that produces measurable results. The guide waits with a slow smile as the hero arrives, shoulders tight from too many nights of worry. The room smells faintly of coffee and old paper. Sunlight slants across a kitchen table crowded with unpaid bills and a laptop showing last month's bank balance. Tell me the script running in your head, the guide says, voice steady like a compass. The hero exhales, the same confession spilling out: I work hard, I cut back, and nothing changes. Maybe I'm just unlucky. The guide leans forward and speaks plainly. Your mind is an operating system. It doesn't judge, only executes commands. Scarcity is a program you've rehearsed for years. To change the output, we must rewrite the code. He doesn't promise magic, he offers a sequence, targeted visualization to direct choices, a belief replacement ritual to overwrite old scripts, and a simple daily authoring exercise to craft a new financial narrative. We'll start with small, immediate loops, he adds. You'll see decisions shift within days. They begin in quiet increments. The first exercise is a 2-minute visualization before coffee. Picture the exact next financial move: an invoice that arrives paid, a confident email you send, a phone call that opens a door. Feel the relief, the small celebration, the guide coaches. The hero fumbles, skeptical, but in the scene that follows he imagines a client paying on time and allows himself the warmth of that relief. It's tiny, almost imperceptible, but it changes his posture at the laptop. Next, they replace one core belief: I don't deserve money. The guide writes the opposite statement, short and absurdly simple: I am capable of receiving abundance, and has the hero repeat it aloud until the words lose their foreignness. They pair the repetition with concrete actions: adjust one price on a service, accept one new client without apologizing for cost. The hero's voice cracks the first few times, then steadies. Within days, an overdue invoice clears. A neighbor mentions a lead. The hero notices a new willingness to say no to deals that undercut him and yes to opportunities that feel aligned. The change is not theatrical, it's a quiet shift in decisions, a small cascade of different choices that begin to redirect his path. Which pain are you willing to face and rewrite first? The guide asks, and the question hangs in the air like an invitation. As the hero realizes the power of small, repeated reprogramming, he readies himself for the next step, the deeper work that will turn those early cracks into a new financial story. Morning light pours through a thin curtain, catching the dust motes like tiny coin lights. He sits at the kitchen table, bills spread like a confessional, the same question on his lips: when will my financial life change? You kneel beside him, not with empty promises, but with a calm map. Your mind runs like software, you say, watching his shoulders loosen just enough to breathe. If the program is scarcity, your results will follow. We don't wish for money. We rewrite the code. You begin with a simple, immediate practice. Close your eyes, you tell him, and name the scarce thought aloud: I don't have enough. Feel its weight on the tongue. Then you breathe in a different sentence: I am open to good coming in. For 60 seconds you guide a focused visualization: sun on his face, an unopened check being signed, a client smiling as she says yes. Not fantasy, you remind him, but sensory rehearsal: sight, sound, touch, so the nervous system remembers a new possibility. He laughs softly, surprised at how a single minute shifts the pitch of his chest. Next, you teach belief replacement as if swapping worn clothing. He writes down the old script in one column: I'll never earn more, and in the next, small, believable reframes: I can earn more by asking for what I'm worth. You ask for micro-evidence, one tiny act that proves the new line. He drafts an email raising his freelance rate by 10%. His hands tremble, the tremor is the bridge. You coach him through the words, then watch him hit send. That click is a ritual, micro-action that rewires the mind. You show him how to craft a new financial narrative, a present-tense paragraph, short, specific, alive: how he wakes, what he does, who he helps, how money moves to him. He reads it aloud until the cadence feels true. The room changes. The kitchen, once cramped with worry, feels like the launching place it really is. What if it doesn't work? He asks, fear returning. Then you practice again, you answer simply. And you look for evidence, however small. Creation is a practice, not a promise. If this lands with you, give a quiet like and tell us, what is your biggest financial pain today? Stay with us. Next, we'll face the first real test, an opportunity that demands he choose creator over victim, and the stakes are higher than his comfort. He sits at the kitchen table under the soft morning light, bills fanned like a weathered map of every wrong turn. The mentor sits opposite him, calm as a lighthouse. Your mind is behaving like software, she says, sliding a pen across a small notebook. We're not wishing. We're reprogramming. The hero leans in, skeptical and exhausted, and the room narrows to the exchange between two voices, the old script that says never enough, and a steady new voice that offers a method. She guides him through a targeted visualization: eyes closed, breathe into the center of the chest, place a date 6 months from now and see the details: no vague riches, but a clear morning when a client calls with a project that pays on time, a balance in the account with a reassuring number, the relief in his partner's face. She asks him to notice the choices that led there: saying yes to a well-paid offer, politely declining work that drains him, shifting one habit, spending 30 minutes each day on income-generating tasks. The image is small, precise, actionable. Then she teaches belief replacement like a craftsman swapping broken gears. He names the limiting belief aloud: I am not meant to have abundance, and she asks for evidence against it: times he solved a problem, came through for others, received unexpected help. They craft a counter-statement that is believable and present tense: I design opportunities and accept resources that match my value. He repeats it until his chest softens, anchoring it by pressing his thumb against a worn coin in his pocket. They write a new financial narrative together, not as fantasy but as a script for behavior, scenes that define his identity: paying bills on time, negotiating with calm confidence, saving a small, steady amount. Each scene is rehearsed in the mirror like lines in a play, until the inner actor inhabits the role. Almost immediately, small shifts arrive: an email with a higher fee, a friend recommending a client, his inbox offering a chance that fits the new script. He notices he makes a different phone call, chooses a project that honors his time, and his shoulders relax as if the brain finally accepted a new operating system. If this landed for you, tap like and tell us, what is your biggest financial pain today? Subscribe gently to follow as the hero faces his first true test and the new program is challenged. He stands in the kitchen, coffee steam fogging the window, and repeats the same question into the quiet: when will my financial life change? The guide sits across the table, voice steady, as if reading code from a calm console. Change begins when you change the program, she says. Not by wishing, by rewriting. She asks him to close his eyes. He does, the room shrinking to the rhythm of his breath. She paints a scene, the exact sound of a client saying yes, the weight of an envelope with a check, the feel of his hand on a confirmation email. It's not fanciful, it's specific, sensory, brief. See it for 60 seconds each morning, with feeling, she instructs. Imagine the small decisions that follow from that image, the call you make, the email you send, the choice to invest time where it pays. When he opens his eyes, she gives him a tool: name the scarcity thought, I never have enough, then say it aloud. He winces. She hands him a pen. Write 3 real facts that contradict it. Find the receipts. The times you did get paid early, the moments a neighbor recommended you. Replace the old sentence with a new one: I attract practical opportunities and act on them. Say it until your throat remembers the sound. They walk outside. A bus passes, a street vendor smiles. The guide watches his posture straighten, as if the words had adjusted his spine. Replace stories by doing micro-actions that match them, she says. He pulls out his phone and sends a short proposal he had been postponing for months. He declines a small impulse purchase that would have felt safe in scarcity. Each tiny alignment is a patch in the program. A phone rings, unexpected, polite, an opportunity to consult, paying the exact amount he'd pictured. It's not magic, it's momentum. The hero feels relief at first, then a steady steadiness, a new frame for choosing. The inner critic grows quieter because there is evidence against it, and decisions begin to follow the new narrative. If this landed with you, tap like and tell me, what is your biggest financial pain today? Subscribe to follow the next step. We'll anchor these wins into rituals that make prosperity immediate and durable. He sits at the small kitchen table while the first light slips through the blinds, a cheap mug of coffee cooling beside a stack of unpaid bills. The guide's voice, calm, practical, unglamorously certain, walks him through it like a map. Notice the thought. Name the old program. He closes his eyes. The inner cinema starts, scenes of scarcity he has replayed for years: late fees, missed opportunities, whispered doubts. He speaks the script aloud, not to dwell in guilt, but to locate the exact words that have been steering his life. I don't have enough. Money is hard. I always lose. The admission floats in the quiet kitchen like a held breath. Then the work begins. He writes a new line on a fresh card: I attract practical income and make aligned choices. He repeats it, not as wishful thinking but as a command to the mind's operating system. The guide instructs a targeted visualization: 5 minutes of sensory detail, the sound of a client thanking him, the weight of bills slipping into a paid folder, the relief at checking the balance and seeing growth. He imagines the decision moments: saying yes to a consulting opportunity that pays well, choosing to price his service for value rather than fear. The visualization aligns not only feeling but action, it programs the neural pathway that will choose opportunity over avoidance. A small test arrives. The phone rings, he pauses, listens, and instead of retreating to doubt, he answers with the new posture. Yes, I can take that on, he hears himself say. The conversation ends with a deposit promised within days. It's small, but it feels like a seam in reality opening. The guide's voice is beside him again: beliefs are habits. Practice replaces them. Story by story, choice by choice, you prove a new truth. He begins to narrate a different life: quiet, exact phrases that honor competence and possibility. Each phrase is like a new line of code, replacing scarcity with resourcefulness. He feels the shift in his decisions, in the way offers look like doors instead of traps. Not everything changes at once, but the momentum tilts. If this moment resonates, tap like and tell us in the comments, what is your biggest financial pain today? Stay with him. Next, we watch the first clear consequence of that one brave, recalibrated choice. The morning light falls across his kitchen table in the same soft way, but something in him is different. He breathes slowly, fingers tracing the margin of a notebook where yesterday's old script once lived. I don't deserve this, money is scarce, I must grind forever. Today, he closes the notebook and speaks, not out loud for anyone to hear, but with a steady, practiced intention. I am capable of receiving. I make wise choices that create income. It's short, precise, a belief replacement like swapping a corrupted file for a clean one. Outside, the city hums. Inside, the clock stops for a moment while he chooses a new program. A phone buzzes. It's a message from an old client. He used to let messages like this slide: worry, analysis paralysis, price anxiety. Now he feels the alignment that the guided visualization gave him. He sees himself confidently explaining value, not apologizing. He types a reply with a clarity he hasn't known in years. Yes, I can deliver that. Here's the proposal. His hand doesn't shake. He sends it and notices the shift. The trembling in his chest eases, replaced by a quiet satisfaction, an internal nod that this decision matches the new story he's crafting. Later, at the market, he meets a neighbor, Maria, and they talk about simple things: bread, sunflowers, grandchildren. When she mentions a small job opening at a community cooperative, he considers the old script: too small, not enough money, then pauses. He uses the technique: imagine the outcome, feel the doors opening, align the intention with action. I'll apply, he says, and his voice surprises him with its calm certainty. Maria smiles as if she's seeing someone become someone new. The day folds into evening with small confirmations, a partial payment processed, a friend forwarding a lead, a sense of dignity reclaimed. It isn't magic, it's software working after an update. Decisions that once felt heavy are now guided by a clearer inner operating system. He catches himself before resigning to fear and replaces the line of scarcity with a practical step, a call, a proposal, a willingness to receive. Each act compounds the new belief. If this sounds familiar, what's one fear about money you keep telling yourself that you'd be willing to rewrite tonight? Share it below, and if you want to follow the final step of this journey and learn how to lock these changes in for good, stay with me for the next part. He opens the kitchen drawer, the same stack of envelopes, the same tremor in his hands. Morning light pours across a mug of coffee gone cold, the thermostat hums like a patient machine. He reads the numbers and for a second the old voice rouses: not enough. Another month like this. But today something else sits with him, the guide's clear, calm instruction replaying in the silence: your mind is software. You are not the error log. He closes his eyes and remembers the practice. 3 breaths to center, a targeted visualization of money moving easily into his life, not fantasy wealth, just one steady uplift, a client saying yes, a bill negotiated, a small deposit that tips the balance. He sees the scene as if already true, feels the relief in his shoulders, hears the friendly tone on the phone. The image is precise, tactile. He opens his eyes and, without fanfare, writes one sentence across a post-it: I choose. He places it on the fridge like a new rule. Later, at his desk, a call from a long silent contact arrives. He answers with the quiet confidence he practiced in the mirror: I have a proposal that would help us both. It's a small contract, nothing cinematic, but it pays a few $100s more than he expected. The bank notification chimes. He exhales and feels an unfamiliar smile. This is not magic, it's immediate realignment. The visualization directed his behavior, the belief replacement phrasing dissolved the little I can't, and his choices shifted. He accepts opportunities he had ignored, negotiates where he used to apologize, sets terms that respect value. In the following days the scene repeats in modest ways: an unexpected refund, a friend referring a client, him declining a low-value offer without guilt. Each small win rewires the tape running in his head. Scarcity loosens its grip not because bills vanished overnight, but because his identity changed from victim to creator. The map of his financial life redraws itself with new routes and new signals. If this journey resonated, leave a like, and tell me in the comments, what is your biggest financial pain today? Subscribe and practice with me. The next session will teach the exact sentences to overwrite that old script and lock these new choices into place.